started streaming about 2 years ago. Nothing serious, just gaming after work, talking to whoever showed up in chat. Most nights I had like 5 to 15 viewers. There was one username that was always there though, OmenMain42. He wasn't weird at first, just consistent. First one in chat every stream, last one to leave. He'd say normal stuff like GG or comment on gameplay. Honestly, I thought he was just a bored regular. After a while though, I started noticing things that didn't really make sense. Like I'd mentioned something random, grabbing food, going somewhere earlier, and he'd already know about it. One night I said something like, I barely made it home before the rain started, and he replied instantly, yeah, you got lucky, you were still near Chapel Street when it hit. That stuck with me because I never said where I was. I actually went back through the VOD thinking I'd slipped up. I hadn't. At first I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he just guessed, maybe coincidence. But it kept happening. Small details I never shared. Things like what I was wearing earlier in the day or what I'd ordered for lunch. My chat started joking that he was tracking me IRL. I laughed it off too, but I remember starting to feel a bit weird about it. Then came the night something actually showed up. A package at my door, no return address. Inside was a frame screenshot of one of my streams. Except it wasn't just the stream. It was taken from outside my room. You could see me through the window, sitting at my setup, headphones on. I remember just standing there holding it for a while, trying to convince myself it was fake. Like, maybe it was edited, maybe a joke, but it wasn't. I checked my blinds after that, every night. A few days later, I mentioned it on stream. Try to keep it light. Chat went quiet for a bit. Then OmenMain42 typed, you shouldn't show people where you live if you don't want them to look. That was the first time I actually ended a stream early. After that, things started getting worse in small ways. My stream overlays would glitch, like someone was messing with settings. I got emails saying password reset attempts were happening on my accounts. Then I started hearing noises outside my apartment at night. Nothing obvious, just footsteps in the hallway that would stop when I opened the door. The thing that really messed with me though was when I was live one night and saw someone in the background of my own stream. Not inside the room, outside, in the reflection of my window, just standing there. I didn't say anything on stream, I just closed everything and went quiet for the rest of the night. The next morning I reported it. Police came, checked around, didn't find anyone. They basically told me it was probably someone messing with me online and trying to scare me, which made sense at the time. But it didn't feel like just online anymore. A few weeks later, I found out something that actually made my stomach drop. There was an empty unit directly across from mine. Same floor, direct line of sight into my room. I asked the landlord about it, and he said it had been vacant for months. But when we checked it together, there were signs someone had been in there. Not recently abandoned either. Like someone had been staying there for a while. Old food, a chair position facing my apartment, a cheap laptop still plugged into the wall. And on the screen, my stream archive. Still logged in, still watching. I moved out 3 weeks later. I thought that was the end of it. Then about a month after I settled into a new place, I went live again for the first time. Just a short stream to test things. 5 minutes in, I saw it. Same username, OmenMain42, first message in chat. Better lighting this time. I ended the stream immediately. This happened a while ago when I went with a group of friends to a holiday house near the coast. It was one of those older rentals that looks fine in photos but feels a bit different once you're actually there. The house sat right on the edge of dense bushland. No neighbors in sight, no street lights, just trees in every direction once the sun went down. There were 6 of us staying there. First day was normal. Music, swimming, takeaway food, all that usual stuff you do on a weekend trip. Nothing strange until that first night. We were sitting outside on the deck after dinner when Hannah suddenly stopped talking mid-sentence. She was staring out toward the trees. We asked her what was wrong, and she said she thought she saw someone standing there. We all looked. There was nothing. Just darkness between the trunks of the trees. We laughed it off, said she was tired or imagining things, but she didn't look convinced. Later that night, we were inside watching a movie. The living room had huge glass windows facing the bush. During the day, it looked peaceful. At night, it was just black reflections of the room inside. At some point, I noticed how dark it really was outside, like you couldn't see anything beyond the glass at all. Then Sarah suddenly said she saw a face outside. We all turned. Nothing there. She insisted she saw it for a second. Right up against the window, just staring in. Nobody laughed this time. The room got quieter after that. Around midnight, Mia got a notification on her phone. She looked at it, then went completely still. Someone had sent her an Instagram message. No profile picture, no posts, no followers, just a photo. It was the house, taken from outside in the dark, and the message underneath said, "Looks fun." Nobody knew who it was, and nobody we knew even knew exactly where we were staying. It was booked through Chloe's older brother. That's when the mood really shifted. We checked the doors, locked everything, closed curtains even though it already felt pointless with how exposed the place was. It suddenly didn't feel like a fun weekend anymore. By around 2 a.m., most of the girls tried to sleep. I couldn't. Neither could Hannah. We were sitting in the kitchen scrolling on our phones when we heard a loud bang outside, like something hitting the side of the house. We both froze. Then another bang. Closer. This time it sounded like it came from the living room window area. We slowly walked down the hallway and into the living room. The curtains were drawn, but not fully tight. I reached out and pulled one slightly aside, and immediately stepped back. There was someone outside, not close enough to see clearly, but definitely there, standing near the edge of the bush line, just watching the house, not moving. We shut the curtain immediately. Hannah started shaking. Someone else started crying. That's when we called the police. The operator told us to stay inside and keep doors locked until officers arrived. It felt like forever, but it was probably only 20 or 30 minutes. By the time police got there, whoever it was had disappeared. They searched the property with torches, checked the bushland, even went down the track near the road. Nothing. No footprints they could confidently follow, no car, no sign of anyone nearby. They said it might have been someone walking through the area and leaving before they arrived, but none of us believed it was that simple. After they left, nobody really slept. Every little sound made someone sit up. At around 4 a.m., Jess came out of the hallway looking pale. She said she heard tapping on her window. We checked it straight away. Nothing. No marks, no prints, no movement outside. But she was certain it wasn't wind or branches. That was enough for us. We started packing quietly. We weren't staying another night. When the sun finally came up, we were all exhausted but ready to leave. Before we drove off, Chloe suggested we check around the outside one last time. We walked behind the house toward the tree line. That's when we found it. A cheap camping chair sitting just inside the bush, positioned perfectly facing the house. and next to it were empty bottles and food wrappers. Someone had been sitting there for a while, watching the house, from a distance where you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it. We didn't stay long after that. We just left. A few days later, Chloe told us police had gone back again. They took the chair and whatever evidence they could find, but they never identified anyone. No name, no vehicle, no campsite. Just proof that someone had been there long enough to observe the house without being noticed. I didn't think much about it after that, until about 2 months later. I got an Instagram message request from a blank account. No profile picture, no posts, just one photo attached. I've been out of the dating scene for months, so out of curiosity, I decided to download Hinge and see what it has to offer. What else was I meant to do after coming home from work, tired and bored? In the midst of my swiping, I saw someone that really caught my attention. His profile was normal enough. Too normal, maybe. The kind of guy you forget 2 seconds after swiping past him. Let's call him Jay, late 20s. Just a guy who likes good coffee, long walks, and making people laugh. There was a photo of him holding a fish, one at a wedding where he wasn't the groom, and one blurry mirror selfie that looked like it had been taken in bad lighting on purpose. I thought to myself, yep, he's definitely not a creep. That was the first mistake. We talked for a few days before he asked me out. A quiet bar in Fitzroy, nothing fancy, somewhere we could actually hear each other. I said yes. I told my friend Mia where I was going, sent her his profile. She said he looked like a man who owns plants with names like Apollo and refuses to explain why. We laughed. I should have stayed with that feeling. The bar was dim, warm, crowded in a controlled way. He was already there when I arrived. Jay stood up the moment he saw me. In person, he looked more real than his photos, more defined, like he'd stepped out of something instead of into it. He smiled like he'd been expecting me exactly at that moment. "You made it," he said. We hugged. His hand lingered too long on my back. I ignored it. At first, he was perfect in the way strangers are when they're trying very hard not to be noticed trying. He asked questions, remembered details, laughed at the right times. But slowly, something started to feel off. Not in what he said, but in how well he said it. Like he already knew the answers. "You're easy to read," he said once. I laughed. "Is that a compliment?" "It depends," he said. "Do you like being understood?" I didn't answer that. Halfway through the night, I went to the bathroom. When I came back, the atmosphere had changed. Same table, same people, same noise. But it felt quieter, like the world had been turned down a notch. Jay looked at me like we were mid-conversation. "You were gone longer than you needed to be," he said. I blinked. "What?" "You checked your phone twice," he continued. "Once for messages, once for reassurance." A cold feeling settled in my stomach. "That's a weird guess," I said lightly. It wasn't a guess. I told myself it was nothing. Still, I left soon after. He didn't argue. That should have bothered me more. Outside, the air was sharp and cold. "I'll walk you," he said. "I'm fine," I started to say. "I want to." Something in his voice made it not feel optional. So I let him. He matched my pace exactly. Not close, not far. Exact. When I sped up, so did he. When I slowed, so did he. I tested it twice. My skin started to feel too tight. At the corner near my place, I stopped. "You don't live around here," I said carefully. "No," he said, "but I know where I'm going." That didn't make sense, until it did, because he stopped exactly where I needed him to stop, like he already knew the ending of the walk. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., my phone lit up. Unknown number. You left your jacket at the bar. I can drop it off tomorrow. I froze. I hadn't left a jacket. I checked my chair anyway. It was there. At 3:41, another message came. I can hear your heater. You should turn it off. My blood went cold. My heater was on. I didn't reply to anything after that. I unplugged it, sat in the dark until morning. The next day, I opened Hinge again. His profile was still there, normal, smiling, nothing strange, until I looked closer at one of his photos, a wedding picture, and in the background, me, not just there, looking at him, which meant he had been there before I met him. But I didn't remember him at all. I showed Mia everything. She stopped joking pretty quickly, especially after the heater message. That's not normal, she said finally. We blocked him. That made it worse. New numbers started messaging me. You shouldn't have done that. You always test things. You think you're unpredictable. Same tone, same voice, different numbers. Mia told me to stay with her. I agreed immediately. For a few days, nothing happened. No messages, no calls. Then I woke up to Mia whispering my name from the hallway, except she was still in bed. The apartment was dark. Mia, I called. No answer. My phone had no signal. The front door was slightly open. On the floor was my jacket, the one I supposedly left at the bar, but I was sure now. I never took it off. My phone lit up. Unknown number. You left it at my place instead. We left immediately. At this point, I was so creeped out, I ended up calling the cops about Jay. They couldn't do much, but just said that if he ever comes close to me, file a restraining order.